Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or good night. I don't know at the time that you can watch this video. It doesn't matter. My name is Dayana León Campuzano. I study in Universidad de Expro. Actually, I am studying the master degree in teaching English. And today we will have a sample class. So today I'm gonna be your English teacher for this maybe some minutes after. But before that, we will start with our English class. I want to know, how are you today? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you hungry? How are you today, my dear? In my case, I am happy. I'm so happy to stay here with you, and also I am happy because I stay here with you, and for these minutes, I will be your English teacher. So, let's start. So, before that we will start with the completed class, I want to tell you the objective of this English class. And it's the next, is to teach you or show you a little or more information about the communicative approaches, a dominant paradigm in ELT. So, let's start. Good night, my dear students. My name is Diana León Campuzano. I am a student about master degree in teaching English. I study the master degree in Universidad de Expro, and today I have the opportunity to be your English teacher. Just it is a little sample class that is related with my homework or with my sample class that I have to do it in my master degree. And today I will share the opportunity. I have the opportunity to share with you some information about communicative approach. But before that, I want to start, I need to ask you, how are you today, my dears? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you
Tired.
angry? Are you
I'm tired,
How
miss.
are you today?
I'm tired, miss.
Tired. Why are you tired?
Because work, I don't know.
Oh, you got it, a lot of work. Okay, that's nice. Before that, we will continue. I have to say thank you to stay here. Thank you to stay here these minutes with me. And if we don't have more information, let's start. Okay. My class is, as I told you some minutes before, my class is about communicative approaches, a dominant paradigm in ELT. Let me continue. I will show you in this moment the index. Okay, in the index we have a lot of information according our book that we were working. The number one is introduction. Where did CLT come from? Like a background. What is CLT? Early CLT, the National Functional Syllabus, the Council of European Modern Language Project, the spread of CTL, theories of language and CLT, recent CTL approach. Where are you now, or where are we now? Current views of task-based learning. CTL materials and activity types. Some key features of CLT. The role of grammar in CLT. CLT rhetorical and reality. The implications of sharing and assent in CLT, and like we have at the end, the conclusion. Let me start with the first dot. The first dot, before that we will continue with the first dot, I have here a phrase. Please, Fan, can you help me to read the phrase?
Yes. A throat or vocal organs are enough for the mere production of speech sounds. It is hardly an exaggeration to say that we need our entire bodies when we converse.
Okay, thank you. And this phrase is about John Ambermick. Okay, if you trigger in this phrase, talk about our vocal organs are enough for the mere production of a speech. In the English, it is very important that we learn English, obviously, but the most important is that we, like a human beings, like people, like person, for us will be possible that we communicated. Why? Because if we don't have communicator or if we don't have communication, will be difficult that the people understand. This is the reason that I put it this phrase because it's the most important at the time that you are learning English. And in this way, let me continue with the first dot that I told you some minutes before, and this is the introduction. I will make you or I will tell you a little information about introduction. And in this part, communicative approach in language teaching, also known as a communicative language teaching. This is the famous CLT. Is still the dominant model in English language. But in this class, we will check a little questions. Why is this so? Where did it come from? What are the fundamental notions behind COT? Are there any knowledge to this approach? What is the current state of affairs in COT? Let me continue in this part. The second dot. Where did COT come from? It is like a background. Where did COT? In what time? What happened here? And here I will share this information. The CLT appears in 1970s. CLT comes from influenced by the breakaway from the concept of method and the so-called humanistic new methods, such as situational language teaching in Britain and audiolinguism in the United States. Okay, be careful here. Britain, that it is the same like British English, and United States, that it is the same like American English. Here appears 3 points that the influence of the humanistic methods had many relation in this part. The number one said, whole person learning. The learner is an individual, is a participant with different needs. It is not the same needs that we have like students here in this moment and the same needs that you have in your work. It is not the same. It is totally different. The second dot, process view of learning is the acceptance of error as part of the language process, as a necessary stage on the road, the linguistic competence. So the error, guys, it is necessary in our process. So don't be frustrated if you don't understand something. Don't worry, it's part of the process. And the last dot, new role for the teacher. Nowadays, actually, the teacher, unfortunately, it is not the best, or it is not like a god. Nowadays, the teacher is just like a facilitador. Encourage learners to take responsibility for their own learning. So, let me continue. The next dot. What is CLT? Okay, you are listening about CLT, but what is that? I will show you what is that. But before that we will continue, I will show you a little video, and I need that you pay attention in this video. After, if you have questions, please ask me.
Communicative language teaching is an approach that represents a philosophy of teaching that is based on communicative language use. It is also based in communicative competence. CLT emphasizes in notional functional concepts and in communicative competence rather than in grammatical structures. CLT is constructed upon two systems of meanings, notions, and functions. Let's see some of the main features of communicative language teaching. Meaning is of primary importance in CLT, and contextualization is a basic principle. Attempts by learners to communicate with the language are encouraged from the beginning of the classes. The new language system will be learned best by struggling to communicate one's own meaning and by negotiation of meaning through interaction with others. Sequencing of materials is determined by the content, function, and/or meaning that will maintain students' interest. Reasonable use of native language in the classroom. Activities and strategies for learning are varied according to learner preferences and needs. The goal of teaching is communicative competence. Communication principle: activities that involve real communication promote learning. Task principle: activities in which language is used for carrying out meaningful tasks promote learning. Meaningfulness principle: language that is meaningful to the learner supports the learning process. Learning activities are consequently selected according to how well they engage the learner in meaningful and authentic language use. The kinds of classroom activities that would be representative of CLT include interactive language games, information sharing activities, task-based activities, social interaction, and functional communication practice, according to Richards and Rogers, 1986. CLT is a flexible approach of teaching language.
If you check it in this video, appears in a completely way what is CLT, okay? And it is an approach very, very useful because if you check it here in the video, appears many activities that could be possible that we apply like a teachers in our classrooms with our students. Is it clear, the video, guys? Everything is clear until here, or do you have questions?
No, teacher. Don't question, teacher.
Okay, very good. That's nice. Let me continue. I will continue now with early CLT, the National Functional Syllabus. The syllabus is very, very important, guys, like teachers. Always, always. Let me show you. The advantage of the national syllabus is that it takes the communicative facts of language into account from the beginning without losing sight of grammatical and situation factors. Is potentially superior to the grammatical syllabus because it will produce a communicative competences. Always, like a teachers, guys, we have to get it a syllabus. Why? Because it is necessary that we get it the way of our class. What would it have to do at the beginning? What would it have to do in the middle of the class? And obviously, what would it have to do at the end of the class? The syllabus is very important, guys. Let me continue with our next thought. The Council of Europe Modern Language Project, the spirit of CTO. This, here in this part, I need that you pay a lot of attention, guys, because also here, it is necessary because at the time that you finish your English courses, or maybe in some months after, you have to be certificated in the language. I will give you a little information or some important information. It is a little timeline. And I have here 2 dates. The number one is 1949 set. Was set off by the governments of various European countries to promote cooperation in areas such as culture and education. But it is just like an imaginary information because we don't have more or exactly rules about that. But what happened? In 2001, the European Union Council resolution recommend using what it called the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It's the same, like we know in Spanish, el Marco Común Europeo de Referencia para las Lenguas. And if you check here in the right side, I have a kind of chart, a line, And here appears 6 levels, guys. The level A, A1, and A2 is for beginners. The number B1 is like an intermediate, upper intermediate, okay? And the levels of C is like proficiency, like a master, okay? And here appears some Cambridge certifications. For example, in the case of beginners or levels A, A1 or A2 is the certification of CAT. B1 is the PET. B2 is the first certificate English. Okay? So you have to be careful here, guys, because the Common European Framework of Reference for Language is very important, guys, because it is a certification. Okay? And if in a universal way, guys, if you are not certificated, it's okay. But the most important is like imagine in the bachelor's degree, you got it your title, right? You got it your certification. It's the same in the English, right? So after in classes, I will show you a little information about certifications, but in this way, this is the information. Let me continue. Theories of language and COT. And here appears with some theories. Let me share with you. The number one and the most famous is Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, linguistics competence enhances communicative competence. The number one, Chomsky said linguistic competence for Chomsky, language is basically rule-based creativity. If you don't have creativity at the time that you are teaching, sorry, but you fail like a teacher. Okay, you don't fail, right? But Chomsky said that we needed basis, creativity. The second part said, Himes, communicative competence reflects the belief that language is always used in a social context or situation. And it appears a thing that always I tell you guys that we are working with real scenarios. Why? Because if you don't use the English in your real life, so that's it doesn't matter. It is not the same English that appears in the books that the English that you use every day in your work, with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, in your real scenarios. And this theory has a little relation with Noam Chomsky. The second theory is systematical functional linguistics. Okay, he adopted the term systematical functional for his linguistic approach to describe two dimensions of language. Language is systematic because it is paradigmatically organized. And I will show you the organized. Is the next. All of these parts, phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics. When you are talking about phonetics, you know the IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. If you're like a teacher, you don't teach IPA in basic levels. I'm sorry, but at the advanced level, your students will be difficult that they have a good pronunciation. Phonetics, as you know, students, is the speech of the sounds. Phonology, you know the phonemes, right, that appears in the phonetic chart. Morphology, the morphology are the words. Ball, table, chart, okay? Syntax, phrases and sentences, like phrasal verbs and idioms. Semantics, literal meaning of phrases and sentences. And the pragmatics, meaning and contents of discourse. After, I will show you a little information about. Okay, I will show you after. Let me continue. This is the other, Cannell and Swain, the subskills in communicative competence. They found 4 groups. or subgroups competences, which together make up communicative competence. Grammatical competence is the ability to use grammar and lexis currently. Number one, sociolinguistic competence is the ability to understand the social context in which communication takes place. It is very important, guys, that you understand the social context, the real scenario, work, school, my house, my work, okay? Social context. Discourse competence is the ability to interpret individual elements in a message through their coherence and cohesion. And the next one is strategic competence. Is the ability to start, finish, maintain, and repair or redirect communication. Let me continue. Continue with the next theory. The implication of a communicative view of language for the CLT classroom. And here appears two terms. The usage and the use is totally different. The usage refers to knowledge of linguistic rules, and the use refers to the ability to use these rules for effective communication. So in other words, usage, it is grammar rules, everything that has relationship with grammar. And the use is at the time that you will put in practice your speaking way. That the time that you are putting in practice all the grammar topics that you learned. The use is the speaking way. Guys, until here, do you have questions or everything is clear?
It's clear, miss.
Okay. Let me continue. We are near the end. Recent CTL approach. And in this part, I will basically just in lexical approach. I will show you a little video where I am explaining the lexical approach. Just wait me, it's loading.
Of teaching foreign languages described by Michael Lewis in the early 1990s. The basic concept on which this approach rests is the idea that an important part of learning a language consists of being able to understand and produce lexical phrases as chunks. Students are thought to be able to perceive patterns of language, grammar, as well as have meaningful set uses of words at their disposal when they are taught in this way. In the lexical approach, instruction focuses on fixed expressions that occur frequently in dialogues, which Lewis claims make up a larger part of discourse than unique phrases and sentences. Vocabulary is prized over grammar per se in this approach. The teaching of chunks and set phrases has become common in English as a foreign or second language, though this is not necessarily primarily due to the lexical approach. The lexical syllabus is a form of the propositional paradigm that takes word as the unit of analysis and content for syllabus design. Various vocabulary selection studies can be traced back to the 1920s and 1930s. West 1926, Ogden 1930, Fawcett et al. 1936, and recent advances in techniques for the computer analysis of large databases of authentic text have helped to resuscitate this line of work. The modern
Okay, until here I will put a pause in this video, right? Here, if you check or explain about chunks. The chunks, guys, I will show you what happened here. The chunks are very, very, very important at the time that you are learning English, guys, and also in the lexical approach. And here appears 4 famous chunks. The number one is the words. When you are talking about words, it's okay that you learn more vocabulary, just like words. Also, collocations. The collocations are the same, guys, as you know, like a phrasal verbs. That's excellent, guys. Because if you learn phrasal verbs, you get it. The native phrases, guys. And also with fixed expressions. The fixed expressions is the same like you know, like idioms. You know, guys, idioms is the same. If you learn idioms, you are learning native phrases. And the last one is sentence frames or heads, that it is the same. Long phrases like native speakers. And in the learning lexical approach, guys, if you learn these four twices, guys, so you got it, the knowledge. Words, collocations or phrasal verbs, fixed expressions like idioms, and sentence phrases or heads. Those are the famous chunks. Let me continue with where are now current views of test-based learning. It is very important like teachers, guys. This is the strongest form of COT. Task-based learning, TBL, very important. Always, you have to make a pre-task. Engage standards. So you have to check it your needed. Your task, presentation task, and the last is review accuracy. So you have to check your need, make something for get it or to arrive your need, and make a review. These three is basically pre-task, task, and review. Let me continue. CTO materials and activity types. In many cases, the most of the teacher just teach you grammar rules, and it is boring. But like English teacher, always we have to use different materials. Authentic materials can be used such as articles from magazines, songs, short stories, which are used by native speaker, use it in real life or real scenario. Communicative activities, informal and opinion gap, and also visuals. Pictures are very important for understanding. It doesn't matter the multiple intelligence that you get it. The pictures are very important to understanding. The next, activities. We have different activities to work, guys. No just like the activities that appears in a book. Mechanical, meaningful, and communicative practice, information gaps, information gathering, role plays, opinion sharing, occurrence, and fluency activities. Also, we will share with some key features of COT, and I will show you that. Here appears the students' roles. What do you have to do like a student? A student's feelings are really important for this method. This is the reason that at the beginning of the class I told you, how are you today, guys? Why? Because if you are sad, if you are tired, if you are angry, will be difficult that you get it, the language. But the difference if you are happy, if you are relaxed, so will be easy that you learn. This is feelings are really important. They should be motivated. They feel they are learning something useful for their life. Students are active during the classes. They are team members and communicators. Students responsible for their learning. And also the teacher's role. Me or us, like teachers, the teacher has the role of facilitador and monitor rather than beginning model. Errors can be tolerated by the teacher because teachers should know that errors are natural. Okay, this is the reason that I told you before. Don't worry if you're frustrated. Don't worry if you say, oh my goodness, I don't understand. Don't worry. It's okay. It's part of the process. So be relaxed, and after you will try it again. Okay. The role of grammar in CLT. The grammar is important, but said in the beginning the tendency was against inclusion of grammar in. Currently, some proponents of CLT say that the grammar should be learned while communicated, but others prefer to reserve time for more explicit study. It's okay, the grammar, always you have to start with the basic grammar rules, and after you have to put in practice these grammar rules, okay? I am nearest of the end. TCLT, rhetoric and reality, okay? It is just like a little information, if it is true, if it is not true, so doesn't matter. The other part is the implication of setting and assent in COT. It is important. And I make here a little versus. Setting easily prevents some of the most basic activities for COT from being carried out in the classroom. Check it, the activities that you have to do it in your classroom. Something like PPP, presentation, production, and product. And the assent, reduce the implementation of communicative approach of teaching. Those or both are very important, guys, at the time that you are learning a new language. And like in conclusion, guys, in conclusion, if you check it all of these methods that we learned today, basically CTL, CLT, communicative learning teaching, it is very important because in this method, the most important in my basically words is the speaking. Obviously, you got it basic grammar rules, obviously, but after you have to put in practice. Also, don't forget it that in this chapter, talk about certifications, about common European, right? About Cambridge certifications, don't forget that. And also the student's role, the teacher's role. So, my dears, in conclusion, this is about my information about this chapter, this communicative learning teaching. And I don't know, I want to know if, do you have questions, guys? Do you have questions, my dears?
No, miss.
No? Okay, so if we don't have more questions, guys, I have to say thank you to stay here and thank you to pay attention in this little sample class. And so that's all for my English class.